See how this looks. What is up, guys? Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. And try to pull this up. Latest should show when I'm live. Nice. So guys, let me know if you can hear me. I'm gonna monitor the chat here and there. It's gonna work out tonight. It's been a long month, so see how this goes. How's everyone doing? Should not go so fast so soon. I'm gonna be sore tomorrow. Let me know if the mic is rustling too much. I usually don't mic up my gi. We'll see. Just gonna do some punching drills, some kicking drills, some knee drills, and call it a day. Maybe do some workout as well. We're doing a lot of plate work. Kind of just around the world with the weight plate, stuff like that. See who jumps on tonight. I know it's always random. Looks like there's 4 people in the live chat right now. What's up, guys? How's it going? Let me know if you can hear me. I'm just live streaming my workout tonight. It's been a long month. Just seeing if anyone else is on. We could just go through some Q&A. You guys have any questions, some solo drill ideas? What are you guys training on? What are you guys doing right now? How's training been so far this year? It's like, what, March? So it's kind of like a good check-in for first quarter of your trainings. Still have my AI camera tool here, so we'll see how that works. Trying not to make too much noise because my kid is asleep. Hopefully you get this on camera, yeah. I'll move this over a little bit so it catches me more at an angle. Yeah, let me know in the chat. How's everyone doing? What are you guys working on right now? Cool thing about having a bag behind some type of obstruction or a weight, you could pretend like you're striking with somebody or going around somebody's guard. Or if you're hardcore, you do some hard body conditioning as well. I don't want to make too much noise again because my kid's probably asleep. What is up, guys? Looks like 4 people watching right now. How's it going? I guess my goal is to just try to use this time to move around a little bit, decompress, hit the bag. I have tapes here. This simulates the belt. So these are kicks below the belt. Here's the torso. Here's the chin. So this is like the jawline here. So it gives me targets to work on. I want to go left side, kidney, right? I could do that. If I want to kick a little higher, I could work on that as well. Let me know what you guys are working on. If you guys have any quests for tonight. I'm hoping the audio works. We'll see. So I think it's a nice spin kick in there. What is up, guys? Looks like 3 people are in the chat right now. What are you guys up to? Another cool thing I can do is actually do some weights, put it down, and actually get some strikes off of that as well, which is kind of cool. I'm trying to be quiet about it, but just feels nice putting on a gi. Hey, what's up, man? I'm starting on this chambering high roundhouse kick without straining my supporting leg. Hey, what's up, Majin? You're lifting in the gym right now? Very cool. So Tyler, straining your supporting leg, that has to do a lot about the pivoting of the foot. Hopefully I could back up far enough so that the see if the camera can catch me. But the idea is like, let's see if I can get over here. So your high chamber, right? If you keep your foot pointed forward or this knee pointed forward, you're gonna feel a lot of strain and twisting the knee. So it's really about twisting. I think about, we call it like putting out a cigarette, right? You twist on the ball of your foot so that your heel points to where you're gonna kick. That way you have a full extension, kind of like you're doing the splits in the air, like sumo guys do the shiko. It's the exact same thing, right? That way you'll feel a strain here, and you're gonna chamber and come right back down. But if you don't pivot your base foot all the way where your heel points to where you're going to kick, you're going to feel a strain here, and you're going to be inflexible in this angle, and you're going to feel like your hips locking up. So you always want to try to pivot, and that should help you out. What's up, Karen? How was the dojo today? Looks like you just got back from the dojo. Very cool. It's a little late in my time zone. It's almost like 10 p.m. So you're probably on more West Coast or something. But very cool. Hopefully that helps with the roundhouse kick thing. So see if I could do it in camera. So how I would break it down is I would throw the knee and then knee with the pivot. And that's getting that in sync is going to help you a lot in feeling less strain with your high roundhouse. And then once you feel warmed up and good with that, you're going to extend and come back, right? What's cool about this is there's a delay on the video I'm watching, so I could see my kick a few seconds later. I'm gonna do it on my right side, which I'm not great with, but yeah, that feels more like a stretch than it does feel like my legs are locking up. Hopefully that helps. And that same process works. The same process works for other kicks as well. So go here, you pivot, and you bring your knee across. You can also shoot for that side kick, right? So everything the same. Bring the knee up, pivot. Now instead of extending from here, bring your knee across your body, and then you have your side kick from there, right? So I'm going here. Hopefully that makes sense. What else, guys? Shoot me some questions, and I'll keep working out. Let me know if the audio works all right as well. Can't really train or work out too late tonight. I got early day at the job tomorrow, but I'm super down to answer questions if you guys have any. Sometimes it just feels good to feel that stretch, get the stretch in. Easy combo, a lot of people do. I'll just keep talking. Go low, low, faint low, and right over the top, right? You see this knockout all the time. A lot of times when people work in threes, it kind of trains your opponents into thinking about the third shot, right? So you always think, tag him with one, tag him with two, he'll expect the third, and that's where you faint. A lot of times people faint too early, or they faint with too few combinations prior, right? Because if you think like, how can I make somebody commit to blocking, right? You give them a pattern. So even if I faint one, you can kind of predict that feint because you see my hips moving, right? But if I do it 2 times and I actually go for it, you're gonna expect the third time, right? And that's where you fake fake the third time and go over the top. And you see that strategy over and over again, you know, like low kick or roundhouse, fake the roundhouse, go for the double, or roundhouse right hand over the top. Usually happens in threes. What's cool about that is the threes, you see that all the time in kata as well. You know, shituke, 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 or age, age, right? And these things are, one, they're a great memorization tool, because then you're learning two things on one side and then one on the other. And generally in kata, you're doing first on your left side, which is your opponent's right arm, and then you do it to your right side and then left side again, which you're essentially training 2 repetitions of a right-handed attacker and 1 repetition of a left-handed, right? So that tells you majority of people are right-handed, and the people who created these katas are passing them down the idea that maybe you need more repetitions on your opponent's dominant side versus just doing 1 on each side, right? And that's something I learned when I was very young. Shunryu is useless. Thanks, Nate. How's it going tonight? My rebuttal to that is it's never about the style, it's about the practitioner. There are a lot of people who train Shunryu that are amazing, and a lot of people who train Shunryu that aren't great either, but you can say that about every single style. So hopefully you can kind of open your mind to that and see that for yourself as well. I've trained with a lot of Muay Thai guys and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys and any other trendy style guys, and they can be, and the quality can be just as good or just as bad as a karate guy as well. So yeah, hopefully you can encounter that and experience that yourself as well. What's another easy combo? I always like jab into a hook on the same side, because a lot of people, if you look at, again, if I'm facing you as my opponent, a lot of people think about 1-2, 1-2, right? So it's left side, right side, left side. So they're expecting this jab cross, jab cross, jab cross. But if you go jab hook, it kind of catch people's off guard, right? Because they're expecting this, but since this is already chambered, you can feint that and go across the body, which is great. As long as you keep, you know, this hand up on guard, you're not going to run into too much trouble. What I've been focusing a lot on, or what's kind of been in my mind a lot, is the lead leg pivot. I've just been watching a lot of boxing, and it just feels like a cool move to do. So you're essentially going, if I'm facing this with my left leg, lead leg, let's say I'm backtracking, right? Instead of pivoting with my back leg and turning 90, you're going to pivot with your front and turn 90, right? Cool little thing where you're just boom, and that allows you to turn. And you see that in boxing a lot because they're waiting for that right cross to come, and they're stepping out and they're coming back in. Or they're stepping out, moving out to the side, and striking. And that versus a full back leg pivot can be a lot faster, right? This versus that, the front leg pivot's a lot faster, and it makes it a little more efficient. And also, one thing to consider is when you're defensive, you don't want to always have to be backing yourself out of range all the time, right? Because you want to think someone's encroaching on your space and you back out to be safe, and then coming in, you back out to be safe. You're essentially resetting the fight every single time, right? So you're resetting the range every single time. And if they're chasing you, you're always just playing catch up. And also, if you back out of range, you're going to have to go back into range to strike them. So it makes sense when you defensively pivot, you pivot enough, just enough for them to miss, but you can still strike back. And that's kind of like the science of footwork, science of head movement, science of like upper body rotations, right? Because you're not just trying to dash out of the way, because it takes so much effort for you to dash back and strike. So it makes sense for you to just back out a little bit and then strike from there. You see that a lot. A lot of boxers that are very fluid on their feet, kind of dating myself, but I'm thinking about Prince, like this great boxer from like early 2000s, I guess, early 90s, and he was great about like dancing around the ring, and he would do this front like pivot and move, be very fluid with everything. But it allows him to get out of range just enough so that he can strike back, rather than again getting out of range too much and then putting on the effort getting back into range. Hopefully that makes sense. What else? What else? One of my biggest pet peeves, and I still see it all the time, is people, blinking when they strike and blinking when they do kata. Yes, Prince Nassim, exactly. Ronin X. That's who I was talking about. I challenge you guys, whoever watched this, like, try not to blink when you do kata. I'm not sure where that came from. Well, I have my hunches, my suspicions. A lot of times when people try to perform kata as strong as possible and they're striking air, it makes sense that you want to contract and squeeze everything as much as you can, to the point where you're kind of like clenching your eyes and flinching as you do that. And it for the person doing the kata, it creates a sense of like speed and power, because you're like flashing to each moment. You're going right. You're just squeezing and everything pops up. But in practice, if you try that move with a person, you are purposefully taking your eyes off of your opponent. So that tells me like people who do that a lot do more kata than they do heavy bag, do more kata than they spar, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Hey, thanks, Ronan. Love all your stuff. Thanks for all you do. I'm trying to, this past month has been pretty busy. So at the very least, I feel like I could jump on a live stream and chat with some people and answer some questions if I can't full on make a video, do the editing, because that does take a lot of time. Um, I even haven't been able to put a lot of shorts on too, like Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. But I'll see if I can get into a new routine and start doing that. Give me training. I use English. I cannot read that language, but I do see boxing in there. So hopefully you're talking about boxing. Um, but yeah, so one thing to help you not blink when you do kata, going back to what I was talking about, is either visualizing your opponent coming in. That helps a lot. Slowing down on your movements and repeating the same movement in a kata over and over again. A lot of people rush through kata from beginning to end just so that they could say, hey, I finished the kata today. I went through it as one repetition. But it's a lot more practical. It's a lot more beneficial for you to take segments of katas and literally just work that. Kind of self-explanatory, kind of obvious, but a lot of people, they just want to check it off their list, right? Just to say, hey, I did Seisan today. At least I did that. But if you were able to, if you really want to try to apply it, right, you would just take one thing. So let's talk about Seisan. So I go step, punch, turn it over. Came up my old Seisan from Matsubayashi, right? So you just think about that: step, punch, turn it over. First thing I'm doing, I'm like visualizing somebody coming in, right? So I'm thinking they're throwing a punch here. I'm stepping to the outside. Maybe they're punching. I'm coming to the inside. But me visualizing this person in front of me really helps me keep my eyes open, right? And to the point where you're like, you're visualizing what else could happen next, right? And it makes your kata look a little more like vicious, more practical, because traditionally I'm gonna do this and then this and then that, right? But traditionally when I do that, I'm leaving my chin up high, my posture's high, my shoulders are down. It looks very formalized. But as you start visualizing the person, you realize, hey, if I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna have to make it short and tight movements, right? And this timing changes too. Rather than going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it might have to be 1, 2, 3, right? because you're really thinking about what your opponent's doing. If he's going to throw a punch, I might have to like block and go. Now I'm turning over. That might change the angle on the person, right? So it helps just make the kata more practical. And that's the whole point of kata, right? You need to be able to apply it. You need to be able to fight with it. And the only way you could do that is make the connections along the way. And if you're by yourself, easy way to make a connection is to start visualizing your opponent, right? And then just taking that, you just add a little more modern footwork to it. Like we're doing that front leg pivot, right? What if I did the front leg pivot into those three things, right? I'm going, right? So it really helps, like, and the entire time I'm not blinking because I'm looking at this imaginary person and looking at where their limbs can be. If this was a kick, I might have to squat down and go and punch down to the groin, right? Or block the leg, punch across, block the punch, go again. But now it really changes how the kata looks and feels for me. And even that, like a few repetitions of that can feel like a fight, and it feels like um, I'm getting actual work in or actual repetition in. Feels like I'm shadow boxing. Feels like I'm tensing up and relaxing like a real fight too. It's cardio intensive rather than just going right. Like that's good. That's necessary. You need to know the pattern to memorize the pattern and everything. But if all you're doing is that and you're saying, okay, I did my kata for today, you're missing like the next step, the next step, the next step. How am I going to actually apply this on a person? Because there's a big gap between doing this and actually trying to use it in a fight, right? Right? And it's like how well can you visualize? Right? And then it's like, so what am I visualizing? I'm visualizing the person throwing a right punch, so I'm coming on the inside. Now I can visualize the person throwing a left punch, so I'm going on the outside. Person throws a kick, so I'm going underneath, punching. Throws a kick with the other one, going underneath and punching. Maybe the person is coming in for a tackle, and I get their head offline, and I punch. Right? So that was what, 5 scenarios for the same beginning move of one kata. And that's like, you just think, I did 5 scenarios, I could do 5 or 10 repetitions of each scenario. That's 50 repetitions of a 3-move sequence from one kata. That's a pretty good workout. I'm already breathing heavy, and I'm getting good visualization drills out of it. I'm working on my footwork as well, and I'm being very dynamic with my posture and my head movement. A lot of people say, karate doesn't have good head movement, but a lot of times it's because what they see is just the formalized version of the kata. So how do you make it more alive? You have to be able to tap into that visualization a little bit better. Cool. Hopefully that makes sense. It's 10:32. I'm gonna give myself 5 more minutes. There's my dog barking right on cue. You guys have any other questions? What's up, Maximo? Os. Curious why my dog is barking. But yeah, this is kind of like how I jumped on this call, this live stream 20 minutes ago or something, 30 minutes ago, maybe 20 minutes ago. And I didn't really have a framework for what I was going to talk about. And by default, I went back to what I knew, which is some formalized pattern, aka kata. And then by default, I went into a visualization drill for that kata, right? So if you ever feel like at a loss of what you should be doing, you should probably take the stuff that you know and make it feel a little more alive with these type of drills. Hopefully that makes sense. My favorite kata, um, the standard answer is always some type of Naihanchi kata. Um, I like Naihanchi Shodan a lot, only because it feels powerful when I do it. And then there's also a lot of practical techniques that you can pull from it. But all the katas feel great. I feel like all the pinions are good. I'm trying to cycle through what I know. Goji Shiho's fun. Um, there are some katas that just feel super long. So I'm just like, you kind of have to get through them. And then there's definitely some movements in katas that feel a little more abstract than others. So you kind of just have to drill those movements um, by faith, I guess. I wouldn't ever say I have an answer to what this kata, what this part of the kata means all the time, but there are parts in katas where I'm just like, most likely this was a historical dance and they're passing it along. I wouldn't ever um, pretend like I knew the practical application of something. But a lot of times too, when I'm sparring, things come out, and you guys heard this from me before. When things come out, I'll kind of recall, hey, this feels like that weird movement in Shinto that I did. Now I'm gonna apply it. I like this, right? So that kind of helps check off that application for that technique, right? Stuff like this. I did this for years without not really knowing what it was, right? That Shinto. And then I saw a wrestling technique where the person wrapped the person's leg and then swept them back. Same with like in Shai Jiao. And I was like, that looks exactly like what I've been doing for years. I can finally add it to my visualization drill versus just doing it to look pretty, right? Here, here. And of course, this feels like I'm pulling an arm down. So pulling someone's posture down and kicking. There's a lot of that too. All right. Thanks, Ronan. Awesome advice. Appreciate it. All right, I think that calls it for tonight. At the very least, I was able to jump on, show that I'm still alive. Thanks for jumping in the chat. I know these are always unplanned and kind of just pop up, but appreciate you guys. 12 people watching. Pretty crazy to think, hey, I could jump on at any time and a classroom size of people will just jump on as well. So I appreciate you guys following me. If you guys have any other questions or anything, I guess you can just put it in the chat and stuff. Do I know Konkusho? So Konkusho, that name tells me it's some type of Shotokan thing. I know Kusankusho, Kusankudai. And I'm sure it'll look very familiar to what you know, but it might be some variation on that. So I have a Shorin Ryu background, so I do know the Kusankus. Yeah, cool guys. Thanks for jumping on. Catch you on the next one. Peace. I'm gonna see if I can figure this out. Close.